Hi everybody, here's a brief introduction to how you can use Prezi to make presentations. This is far from an exhaustive tutorial about everything you can do in Prezi. My main piece of advice, to be honest, is to go to Prezi.com, get an account and just start practicing. But hopefully this little tutorial will give you a couple of tips, a couple of ideas about how you can get started with this. Okay, so here I am at my Prezi account. I've just clicked on your Prezis. So you see here's a couple of basic ones I've made previously. What I'm going to do is click on New Prezi to get a new one started. Okay, so once you've done on that, you'll notice there's a variety of templates. Some of these are really quite impressive in the way they appear. What I'm going to do is just pick a blank one so that I won't have any inbuilt frames, so it'll be quite open-ended what I can do, and just show you some of the different possibilities. So click on that and click on Start Editing. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got a completely blank frame. The way that Prezi is based is it's all about frames. So you have frames that define certain things in them. So you put in what you want in the frame, pictures, videos, text. You zoom in to certain frames, you can zoom out to the main screen, or you can define a path that goes from one frame to another. That's probably not that clear at the moment, but it will become clearer as I go through it and start showing you some of the things you can do. So there's only one pre-made frame already on this, and that's here. So I click on that and it zooms in and I can start editing this frame. All of your options pretty much are up here in the left hand corner. So here's frame. This is how you insert new frames to group items. I'll get back to that later. Insert gives you the option to insert images, PowerPoints, YouTube videos, and a couple of other things, or shapes as well, that Prezi's got a few pre-made ones itself there. And finally, path. So once you've made a few frames, I've only got one at the moment, so there's not too much point messing around with this yet, is how you define which frame you want to move from in your presentation. So you might not define a path at all. For example, if you watch my video on using Prezi to make interactive posters, you probably wouldn't actually define any frame on that. Sorry, any path on that, because you want to have the option to zoom in and out of different frames. In a presentation, though, you may well want to define a path, unless you're planning on doing a very interactive presentation in which different members of the audience tell you which part they'd like you to talk about next. But that's another option with Prezi, something that's very powerful, I think, because if you're using something like PowerPoint or Keynote, you are stuck to using a linear style of presentation. So there's two main things I'd say Prezi's powerful for. One is that it allows you to present in a non-linear style, and secondly is that you can zoom in and out of different things. So that leads to all sorts of aesthetic benefits, I feel. But say that's possibly a matter of opinion, so my advice is to get an account and get started yourself. Okay, so let's start off with this frame here. So click on that, and I'll zoom in a bit. So there's some text boxes already in this frame. So as you see, when I move the frame around, it moves around everything within it. If I double click on it, I can get edit. Oh, whoops! I'm still on path. Oh, sorry. Yeah, when you click on things as well, you'll see this symbol come up. So you can use the hand to move it around. You can use the plus and the minus to increase the size, or you can click and hold on the circle and just move in and out, change the size. You can click on these lines on the outside and rotate it. If you click on that, that'll allow you to edit it. If you click on that, that'll delete it. So let's click on this and edit the text. So there's a couple of different things I can do here. If I highlight this text, I can make it title type or body type, so a couple of different possibilities there. I can change the colour using this option here. I can change the alignment. Maybe I want it center aligned. Maybe I want it justified. Whoops. Maybe I want it left aligned, right aligned. You can insert bullet pointed list. You can decrease or increase the indentation. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Generally as well, when you click on Prezi, you'll find the first thing that it thinks you want to do is insert some text. So that's something that can get a little tricky when you use it often, but equally, for what it can do, it's amazing how well Prezi interprets what you want, interprets what you're trying to do. So let's delete that one. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. Okay, so I think what I'd next have is a section on my experience. You'll notice as well, Prezi starts aligning things automatically like this. So here it's lining it up with the middle of this text box. This can be pretty useful. If I move over here, it'll align it up with the edge as well. Although there, you'll notice it's lining up the text, not the bullet points. So maybe a little bit less useful, but it's kind of a matter of opinion in some ways. Shrink that a little bit more and line it up again. Okay, so now what I can do is make a frame, and there's a couple of different options. I can go to bracket frame, circle frame, rectangular frame, or hidden frame. Hidden frame is quite simplistic in what it does. It's literally just a frame that you don't see. So it has its upsides and its downsides in that hidden frame does not group objects. So if you select things with a hidden frame, you can't then move it as one. It's literally just a way for you to use that frame as part of your path. That's something I'll explain a little bit more later. But I do want to be able to move this as one, so I'm going to put in another circle frame to match this one. So you see now I grab it and everything is selected, which is very useful, so I can then put this in later on. Equally, I think I'm going to shrink all of this, as I don't want it to be bigger than that frame, because if anything that's my start one, that should be bigger. Okie dokie. So now let's click on that frame, zoom in a bit. So what I'm going to do is zoom in a lot, so that when I put a frame around these items and then zoom in on the path, that's really going to show up. Okay, so let's say now I want to insert an image. I think I've got one previously that just business image 2. So let's say here I'm just going to be talking about my knowledge of business means that I know something that this graph means Competitive Graduate Jobs Incorporated is a fantastic company to work for. It doesn't really matter what the content is, that's something that you do depending on what your presentation's about. And then I could have some more text talking about it. And then I can group this all in a frame. So you see that's all selected in the frame as well. Let me show you now how this would work. So now that I've done some of the basics with frames, I'm going to start defining a path. I accidentally defined a little bit of a path earlier, so I'll delete that for now. If I click on path, that'll give me the option to remove it. Okay, so when you're on path, what you can do is, I'll just go back to show you how to get to that actually. So here we are, it's in the left hand corner is your set of options, click on path. With path, what you do is click on frames to define the path that you want to use to go from one frame to another. So let's say I want this to be the first thing I show. This is the first part of the show. I'll click on that and that's then put in as step 1. Then I want to go here, then I want to go here, then I want to go to this frame here. So if I zoom in a bit, you'll find that easier. Excellent. Okay, now let me go back and quickly show you how that would work. So if you want a preview of what you've done so far, you can, on the bottom right hand corner, click on show. Okay, cool, so it starts on that one, I'll press right, moves to that one, press right, moves to that one, and now when I press right, it'll zoom in. And that's one of the things that I think is really pretty about Prezi, is that you can use much smaller frames to zoom in on a particular area and talk about it there. Escape. Equally, if I wanted to have a frame where I summarise everything, I can put one big frame about everything around everything that I've done so far, and then if I go to path, I can have that goes as the next one. So you'll see it's automatically putting it at the end. You can tell from the numbering system, you see it's selected a 5, so if I do that, then it will zoom out to show everything, so I can maybe start summarising what I've done. So now let's get one more quick look at our show. Now click on show. Okay. So it will zoom in, and now because I've picked the next set of the path to be that one big frame at the end, when I click right now, it'll zoom out and show the whole thing. I think that the best way to learn Prezi is to get up there and start using it yourself. So this video is really just to show you the very basics of the way it works, and that it's kind of frame based. That's how you move from one thing to another, and that you can zoom in and zoom out using frames that are hidden like this. Sorry, not hidden, much smaller like this, or much larger like this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed.